Okay, I'm just really feeling my outfit, which is the main reason why I decided to make a YouTube video today. Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hi, my name is Maddie. I am the founder of the Community Foundation, and I am starting a YouTube channel apparently to share my experiences and to bring on some guests, some fancy guests, to talk about the realities of being a sick bitch with a really dark sense of humor, but a surprisingly optimistic view on life. So I guess subscribe if that is up your alley, whether you're sick or not. I don't watch a lot of YouTube or reality TV, so this is going to be adventure for both of us. If you know me in real life, you did not see this. If you think this is stupid, so do I. But if this is of benefit to you, yippee. The basics about me. I'm 22. I live in one of the most exciting places in the world, Wichita, Kansas. The titty, so to speak, and I have been sick all my life. So it gives me an interesting perspective to dealing with chronic illness, I guess, because I have never known any different. My health journey, so to speak, I really hate the word journey. It makes me want to throw up a little bit, but I haven't figured out or made up my own word that I like better. So if you have a better word for journey that isn't cliche or sound depressing, then let me know. But until then, I guess I'm gonna use the word journey and just throw up a little in the back of my mouth. Oh my god, I threw up a little. So, I have over 1,000 pages of medical records, and yes, I have read every one of them because that's the kind of fun gal I am. Things I do in my free time. But I had pneumonia 8 times by the time I was 3. Was hospitalized for birthdays, and everyone would get sick. I would get sicker because I'm just so special and quite an overachiever when it comes to chronic illness and almost dying. When I was in 4th grade, I got swine flu, and the same pattern emerged. I was really, really sick. From then on, I started falling asleep in class, and things just kind of took a turn. I was always tired. I would fall asleep in restaurants and take a lot of naps, but no one thought anything of it. I was getting good grades in school, and it was a known fact that I never felt good. I was always fighting sinus infections or bronchitis or strep or whatever that my body couldn't fight off on its own. I would fall asleep at recess. I had a recess nap corner. And I mean, teachers would sometimes come up to me and be a little concerned, but it wasn't ever something that was brought up to my parents, and I still have some frustration about that because I wonder if I would have been diagnosed sooner. When I was in 6th grade, I got mono. Same story, super, super sick. It took doctors about a month to figure out what was going on. They thought I was maybe allergic to penicillin. I had a tree trunk neck. It was super, super sexy. I believe I tried to ask out a boy at my locker while looking like that. I'll try to find the picture because it was pretty special. The fact that I had that much confidence makes me sad for my middle school self. I was on a lot of Benadryl until they could figure out what was going on. Obviously, my mom, if my mom let me miss out on events anytime I didn't feel good, I would have sat at home and been a little hermit. And so, my mom, not knowing that I had mono, was icing my eyes and giving me Benadryl, and I was a zombie playing basketball. And she's like, "It's okay, sweetie, just go out there." And I just stood in the middle of the court. Eventually they figured out I did have mono. And after the mono, I started rashing at our 3 p.m. recess. We thought maybe it was the grass because I had allergies, or the sun. It was pretty early on that we found the correlation with the sun. I started going to doctors in 6th grade and actually told my primary care doctor that I wanted tested for lupus. I knew from a very young age that I wanted to become a doctor, which is ironic because now I have no desire to become a doctor. But that was always my plan. I was a planner. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be a pediatric oncologist or a pediatric neurosurgeon, something like that. And so I was also a super nerd. I read books on medical terminology and epidemics in middle school. Somehow I had friends. I'm not sure how, but I did. I told my doctor I wanted tested for lupus, and she's like, "Well, you think you have lupus." Let me tell you, senior year of high school, when I finally got diagnosed so many years later with lupus, it was kind of fucked up, but I was pretty proud of myself. My mom, on the other hand, was a little sad that I was celebrating the fact that I was right. I realized a couple weeks later, you don't want to be right about having lupus, but here I am. I digress. So 6th grade, we started going to doctors trying to figure out what we now know is lupus, and my symptoms became more severe. I eventually, by sophomore year, was rashing anytime I ate food, and I would rash and it would just take it out of me. Like, I would rash and just be dead for hours. Of course, then when I would rash, they would also try to give me Benadryl, but like the running joke in class would be, "What's wrong with Maddie?" The teacher would ask, and somebody would be like, she's just rashing. And so I was probably rashing 7-8 times a day. It could be from emotion, food, cold, the sun, heat, basically any change externally or internally would cause me to rash. And so sophomore year, I started going to Mayo Clinic. I had gone previously when I was in 2nd, 3rd grade for a different issue, and so I started going back. It took them 18 months to figure out this medical mystery, which, you know, Mayo Clinic is a big Maddie Shanka fan because I'm just a little puzzled. But along the way Mayo Clinic works is they send you to all different specialties trying to piece together what the big picture is. And while they were piecing together that puzzle, I was sent to a sleep specialist due to me falling asleep all the time. When I went to the sleep specialist, he was like, "Hey, yo, I think you might have narcolepsy." And I said, "Huh?" So I got diagnosed with narcolepsy the summer before senior year, and then in December of senior year, this was 2017, I was diagnosed with the lupus. The narcolepsy I took a lot harder than the lupus. Again, I was expecting the lupus, but the narcolepsy, I felt like my life had been taken away from me a little bit, and that I had slept all the important moments in life away. I thought it was normal to be that tired all the time, and then when I began treatment and realized what a difference it made, it was really depressing. Even though I was happy that I felt better and obviously my quality of life improved, it was very hard to kind of come to terms with everything I'd missed out on. A glimpse at what my life was like in high school: I would wake up 6:37 in the morning for cheer practice. No, cheer practice was earlier than that. Maybe cheer practice started at 6? I don't know. Doesn't matter. I would wake up for cheer practice, take a nap stretching. I would, after cheer practice, get ready really quick. I would make it to my first class. We had block scheduling, which was an hour and 20-minute classes. Then the first 20 minutes of class, I would fall asleep. And again, teachers weren't really concerned. Somehow I got good grades despite falling asleep all the time. And so no one was like, hey, maybe you should talk to your parents. I also was a smooth talker and would be like, yeah, I'm just like really sick. No one can figure out what's going on with me, which was true. And so, you know, no one connected the dots with how much I was sleeping. Each class I would be awake for about 15-20 minutes before I would fall asleep and sleep through the entire class. I would eat my lunch second period at the beginning of class so that then during lunch I could go to the library and nap. And then after school got out, I had a teacher that would let me take a nap in his office before I drove the 5 minutes home. At home, somehow I didn't have homework either, I don't know. At home, I would take a nap, and then if I had a game to cheer, I would go cheer, and then I would go to bed. I mean, I slept all the time. And no matter how much I slept, I was exhausted. And then at night, I had nightmares and night terrors. I was a senior in high school getting in bed with my parents. That is not normal. I had all the classic symptoms of narcolepsy, and then we realized that I also had cataplexy. For example, in middle school, my parents surprised us with a trip to Disney World, and I collapsed on the floor when I found out, and I couldn't walk. We're trying to pack, and I couldn't walk up the stairs. Well, it turns out I had cataplexy, which is with heightened emotions, you lose muscle control due to REM sleep and blah, 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 blah. Other events, like in grade school, people would pop out behind doors, and I would fall on the ground, and they would always give me shit about being dramatic, which I'm a tad dramatic. But I also have cataplexy. So after being diagnosed, there was some relief in having a name to go with the symptoms I was experiencing. But I had a lot of stress in my life, which is a different video. I was in a really bad long-term relationship, which took a pretty big toll on my health. And I ended up, I had great grades. I had an amazing scholarship to my dream school in my 10-year plan that I had since I was in grade school. And the week of graduation, they called and told me that they were concerned for my safety due to a sedating drug I take for my narcolepsy, and I ended up staying home for college, which was the best thing that could have ever happened to me in the long run. But I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression and this toxic relationship, and I continued to get really sick. My freshman year of college, there was a period of time where I couldn't work, and I had always worked since I was 14, and I couldn't drive for about 2 months, and then for about 2 weeks I couldn't really walk, and there were days where it was hard for me to talk or really do anything other than sleep. My quality of life was ass, to say the least. I ended up being admitted to Mayo Clinic in their emergency room, and they were able to figure out what was going on. It was a combination of stress and interaction with meds and just the progression of also the narcolepsy and the lupus together. So while I was going through that experience in early college, I was for the first time with kids that I hadn't known since kindergarten, because I went to Catholic school, so I went to school with the same kids forever. I had to open up about my experience and how people could help me, because I refused to. I'm very stubborn, and despite the fact that I had a lot of limitations, I refused to not participate in fun things. And so I would talk about what was going on with me and how people in my class could help me, or I just learned how to communicate what I needed, I guess. And when I opened up about my experience, I realized how many other people were facing similar struggles with invisible diseases, and the amount of support I felt by connecting with people that had chronic illness, not necessarily the same illness, but chronic illness, and were the same age going through the same transition in life. And that's kind of where the idea struck me. I'd always known that in middle school I knew I wanted to become a doctor, and then I eventually wanted to start a nonprofit. I worked in child life at our local hospital and had always been passionate about kids and pediatrics and helping kids like me. And so I knew I wanted to run a nonprofit, and I had ideas of what I wanted it to do, but really freshman year was when it struck me that I wanted to connect people based on age rather than their disease. I have a mom that's an amazing advocate for me, and when I was diagnosed, she got me involved with the organizations that are disease specific for me. I've always had the attitude that yes, my chronic illness sucks, but it is not going to limit me from accomplishing everything I want to accomplish in life. Sure, sometimes you have to veer a little or take an alternate route, but I wanted to do amazing things despite my less than ideal circumstances. The organizations that I participated in didn't offer the support that I needed, number one. There weren't people that were in the same stage of lupus. Typically affects people that are over 40, and the people that are diagnosed are suddenly sick instead of being sick all their life and now having a name for it, like me. And so I just found it hard to relate with anybody that I connected with through these organizations. And I went to a support group for one of the organizations at their conference, and I was a senior in high school, and it was a college age support group, and it was horrified. Everyone was talking about how they can only take 1 credit hour at a time, and how they can't work, and how they're never going to graduate, and it was very, very negative. And I'm this senior in high school who's never had trouble in school, and I'm horrified. I'm like, oh my God, my life is over. Which was far from the truth. I was getting good grades even without treatment, and obviously my academics improved as I started to wake up and participate more fully in life. And so after having that experience, I just and then realizing it wasn't true when I got to college, I knew I needed to create something to change the attitude of the support offered for those with chronic disease. And so Community was birthed. I started it right before I was a sophomore in college in the summer of 2019, because I'm certifiably insane. And it has been an adventure since then. We are about to launch our survival program, which I'm really, really proud of. It involves, it's a year-long program that gives participants monthly support groups with a group of 10 that they go through the year-long program with. They get seminars and learn how to advocate for themselves and communicate, with others what they're experiencing, how to raise awareness, things like that, along with coping strategies. I created a workbook called the Community Survival Guide, and it has a lot of really shitty drawings and a lot of cuss words, and it walks through the 7 stages of grief, and helps break down in a private setting and in a narrative that's less heavy all of the emotions that are associated with getting diagnosed or transitioning in life with a chronic illness. So that's included in the program. And then it's super exciting. I have wanted to have an app for symptom tracking for forever, and it's now a reality. So we have a symptom tracker that covers all diseases. There are a lot of symptom trackers for specific diseases or habit tracking apps, but there wasn't one that was awesome for kind of general chronic illnesses. And so we have it broken down into specialty, and you select what symptoms you want to track, and you also can associate those symptoms with stress events in your life. I'm really, really interested in the correlation between stress and symptoms, and how we can kind of mitigate that in a smarter way. I think the population that's most affected as young adults with chronic illness are internalizers, and I know for a fact that I internalize stress. I'm not a big emotion person. I will have, a monthly breakdown where I cry and get it all out of my system, but I've never been one that's I'm dramatic for sure, but I'm not overly emotional. And I think the internalizers are the ones that are affected most by chronic illness. And so finding a connection between those things with the symptom tracker, I'm really excited to see what we can do and helping create better patient outcomes. The app, it's called CoStat, and it also has a threading platform. So you will have participants have a thread that is specific to their support group cohort, but also to the entire community, and sharing jokes and sharing helpful tips, but also talking about the realities of sometimes the not so fun things that come with chronic illness. I'm really proud of everything that has been accomplished, and I couldn't have done it without my co-CEO Kyle. It's pretty freaking cool. All right, well, if you've made it this far in the video, I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm not sure I would have. Thanks for listening to all the words I had to say today, and tune in for more content like this. And that's all I gotta say. All right, bye. Oh, the Survival program launches on June 6th. I will be making a video leading up to the launch with more information on how you can sign up if you are interested in not only surviving, but thriving.